Many government officials in Mexico are now seeking their pound of flesh over the failed American operation that put guns in the hands of Mexican criminals. Correspondent William Lajeunesse has the specifics.
21 dead in Sonora, Mexico. According to sources, the guns recovered came compliments of the U.S. government.
We weren't giving guns to people who were hunting bear. We were giving guns to people who were killing other humans.
This program was a great mistake in its conception. It is just absurd, especially because human lives were put in danger.
Senator Santiago Creel is a former interior minister and undeclared presidential candidate. He and others say the U.S. violated Mexican sovereignty by approving illegal sales of guns they knew were going south.
It confirms what many Mexicans believe, that there's this conspiracy from the United States to sell guns to Mexico.
The numbers are overwhelming in a country where up to 40,000 have died in cartel violence. So how many people were killed or injured here in Mexico as a result of Fast and Furious? Hundreds, officials say, but the exact number is not known. Why? Because when Mexico attempted to trace those weapons, the U.S. said the numbers did not exist, when in fact they did, which is why many here feel betrayed.
I obviously feel violated. I feel my country's sovereignty was violated.
What angers officials like Senator Rene Arce, chairman of Mexico's Commission of National Security, are leaked memos showing not only did the U.S. keep secret the weapons it helped send to Mexico, it watched as casualties mounted.
You can't allow someone to buy 600 guns in the United States and think that's okay.
The intent of Fast and Furious was to follow the gun from point of sale in the U.S. to Mexico. But agents didn't do that. There was no lengthy surveillance. Only after victims were shot did the U.S. know where its guns were.
What can happen is this now ends on administrative sanction or a resignation. No, human lives were lost here.
Many in Mexico want U.S. officials responsible extradited and prosecuted for gun running.
The Mexican government should demand they be tried in Mexico, since the incident took place here.
But some analysts don't see that happening.
Generally speaking, the U.S. government tries to protect their law enforcement officials, from being prosecuted abroad. It would be very difficult for them to get a fair trial in Mexico.
In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
All right, well, there are new accusations against the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Critics say that the federal agency is now retaliating by firing the agent who blew the whistle on the mission that allowed thousands of guns to get into the hands of Mexican drug lords. That's known as Fast and Furious. Some of those weapons, 2 of them, in fact, were found at the scene when Border Patrol agent Brian Terry was gunned down in December of last year. Now, the ATF whistleblower...
Martha, thank you for having me on. More importantly, thank you for keeping the spotlight on.
Absolutely. So what happened? How did you get the word after 24 years of service at ATF that you were basically, your badge was being taken away and your gun was taken away as well, correct?
That's correct. And I was invited in by my second-line supervisor with 2 other witnesses and apprised of that without any warning. When I challenged it to them, they said that they were doing just what the attorneys had told them to do, which is the standard protocol anymore for decisions within this bureau.
And what did they say was the reason that they were taking away your badge after 24 years and many years of exemplary reports of your work at ATF?
The basic underpinning was lack of candor, which is totally fabricated. And several other allegations regarding conduct that apparently occurred 4 or 5 years ago. I'm really not clear on all that. Yeah. The attorneys are reviewing it now.
Let's take a look at the ATF statement that they produced to FoxNews.com when they were asked that question about why you were being let go. It says ATF will not comment on specific ongoing personnel matters, and it is legal to use disciplinary actions to retaliate against employees, and ATF does not engage in such improper reprisals. But you, in fact, are the person who brought attention to the Fast and Furious program and to the fact that weapons were basically being put in the hands of people who gave them to cartels, and that 2 of those guns, in fact, were found at the scene of ATF border agent at his death, Brian Terry, correct?
That is correct. I was instrumental in fact, formulating the idea to stand up a website to expose the across-the-board mismanagement in ATF.
And what made you do that, Vince? What made you do that? What prompted that?
Outcries from hundreds of agents across the country when my original dispute started, and I realized that there was no mechanism in the government, any mechanisms that there were to communicate with senior management and report abuses were broken, and the leadership continually disregarded our reports, our allegations, no matter how well we substantiate them with documentation. They're well documented, by the way.
And, you know, as you know, the president and Eric Holder have basically said that they had no knowledge of this Fast and Furious program. We're still trying to figure out who authorized this program because, as you say, yourself and many, many agents on the ground thought that this was a crazy way to go about this and that it would put guns in the hands of the wrong people. You know, do you feel vindicated in the information that you put out there through your website?
I feel instrumental in doing my job. That's all I ever wanted to do. We don't cheat to win. We play by the rules. And when our leadership chose to not play by the rules, people stepped forward. Agent Dodson, Agent Gill, all the people who have come out front and put themselves in a position. So the agency had to identify the poster boy. Watch what happens to Vince Shefflu before you consider stepping forward.
What are you going to do now?
Again, my attorney is on it. I'm going to continue to state the truth. That's all I can do, is make sure that people are held accountable for their actions. We've exposed it. Eric Holder, Ken Melson, Billy Hoover, Mark Tate have all ignored documentary evidence of abuses and unethical conduct by Chief Counsel's office and our leadership.
gobernador de Texas, Rick Perry, dijo estar a favor del envío de tropas de Estados Unidos a México, pues para combatir los cárteles de la droga. De acuerdo con el diario The Dallas Morning News, el republicano ha insistido en reforzar la seguridad en el lado estadounidense contra la violencia en la frontera, pero dijo que se necesitan tácticas más fuertes para derrotar a los narcotraficantes. Perry dijo que el gobierno de Barack Obama debe considerar todas las opciones, incluyendo el envío de militares a México. En agosto pasado, el gobernador Perry le demandó al presidente Obama hacer algo más para asegurar esta frontera.